This stuff in Yerushalmi Shabbos, and the art scroll owes well the on that Pei Zayin Amud Aleph, the third line, the beginning of the Mishnah of Halach above, which in the Vilna is on Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph, the Halach above. The Mishnah says, write two letters in two halemos. Two periods of forgetfulness, which are separated. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. The Korban gives two pshatim. We're going to go to the second shot here, which seems to me more conventional, which is that there were two actual halemos, and one in the morning, one afternoon. There's a long gap between the two of them. So the Gamliel is mechayev, even though there were two halemos, and there's a long gap between the two of them, and one letter, one halem, the other letter, the other halem. Nevertheless, the mitzaref, because Gamliel holds halemos and mitzaref. Chachamim poaching. Chachamim says no. Chachamim says halemos and not mitzaref. The halem in the morning, the halem in the afternoon, lo karav zel zeh, even though it's called yom, not called layla, lo karav zel zeh, and therefore there's no chiyuv chatos. Okay, so now Gemara says a question, and we're going to go to Reid Baz's Girsa, which is also the Shorei Korban's Girsa, as Reid Baz points out, a very different Girsa Gemara we have in front of us, which is very difficult to sustain. So Kasha or Gamliel, so Reid Baz, the typical Gamliel, Il Katza could go Geras b'Shachris. If you did, it would go Geras in the morning, and it would go Geras in the afternoon. It would go Geras Ben Rabbaim, right? So B'shtei Helemos, not Ben Lemachas, not B'shtei Helemos, two Helemos. So the Shemin Chayiv and not Chayiv two korbanos. Of course, Chayiv two korbanos, right? One for the morning, one for the other. Kishem Shalemos again. There's going to be Kishem She'ein Helemos, like we have in the Gemara, but Kishem Shalemos Chokos, just like the Helems. It should be Kishem Shalemos Chokos, just like the Helemos divide up the Chiyuv, and therefore you have two Chiyuv and two Chiyuv Chatos. Kachlo, it's Tarfus, so they should divide up, and the letter in the morning should not show up the letter in the afternoon. Right? So it's a question of Gamliel. So Rabbi Mona said it without attribution. Rabbi Lun said Shem Yochanan. Tell Gamliel, Tamon, the reason of Gamliel there, meaning in our Mishnah, very often in the Yerushalmi, Ein Yediyah l'chatzi melacha. No such thing as Yediyah for chatzi melacha. The idea has to be after a complete melacha, then it's, in fact, this is separate. But there's no such thing as the idea for half a malacha. The idea is command le'esadami. The idea is not just awareness; it's awareness of a malacha. The idea of half a malacha is not a malacha. Okay, now so Gemara asks on that basis a question. Ukavasa, and it's a very radical question. It's a very beautiful lumdisher question, classic Yerushalmi, but it's not resolved. Ukavasa ain't zayil chatzizais. It says just like there's no idea for avazayis. So therefore, there should not be zodom. It shouldn't be amazing, because you don't have amazing on home malacha. So just like there's no idea chatzizayis, and therefore the morning letter and the afternoon letter can start from Mishnah. There should also not be zodom for the chatzizayis. Shouldn't be zodom for the morning letter, and might have kamina. Acha chatzizayis bezodom, chatzizayis b'goga. Yet havazayis bezodom, and havazayis b'shkoga. What do you do then? The maushit sarfu. Do I say that this is shem shein yediyah l'chatzi shir l'chatzi melacha? So there's no idea for you've l'chatzi yediyah. So there's no zat on the chatzi melacha, and therefore you would default down to a korban, even though I have it amazing, but it was half a melacha. So therefore, just like have malacha doesn't have idea, it also has amazing, and it defaults down, and now it's as if when you do the other half of malacha, we'll show you you'll bring a korban, then it's start together, or not. So it's the interesting shaila. It's not resolved. Okay, the more goes on. The more goes on to the next. The more goes on to the next parak. Okay, Hajj Lachabayna. Okay, next parak. Oreg. It says the Mishnah. If you weave together three threads together, or you have already a weave and you add one thread to that weave, you're chayiv. Chachamim say ben b'chil ben b'sof, whether you beginning or the end, you're adding on. The shir is always shir shnei chutim. Shir is always two threads. Rabbi Yula. It says Gemara. Rabbi Yula says, time Rabbi Lezer aydei shlishim lachtim miskemes. By adding the third thread, it becomes permanent. Okay, so it says Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yula. So Rabbi Lezer like Rabbi Yula. Tina tamon learns over there. It says Kilaim. V'edim achi yishalish. It says until you go 3 times. Now the truth is that there 3 times is different because they say about sewing, not about weaving. So it means you make 1 stitch, a 2nd stitch, and a 3rd stitch, and then it's miskayim. But Yerushalmi is Yerushalmi making a parallel. Hasak v'kum and starfim b'kilayim. It's really not relevant to us. It's the end of the Mishnah there. That the sack and the container they're joined together for kilayim. So the more answers. Armi Simon time of Rabbi Lezer Tamon. The Melech Shlomo there says the Shah is like this. Is there Rabbi Lezer holds that Aidei Shlishi or Miskemes? In other words, he holds it by Kilayim Kiyun Chayvan too. Yes, by the third one, Melachas Miskayemes, but that's not. It's not necessarily by Kilayim because Kilayim necessarily the Chiv is not on Melachas Miskayemes. So what we're saying essentially is, Tamon in I'm not sure it means in Kilayim. In the Welt, it means yes, it's a basic principle. If you need something which is Miskayim, so then I need to have 3 stitches. But by Kilayim, you don't necessarily need something which is Miskayim. So therefore, you're Mechayiv even by less. It doesn't necessarily have to look at Bira. But here, by Melech Shabbos, Plachas Mikam Mistater. If it's less than 3, weaves less than 3 threads, so then it's not a Mistateru. It's going to get unraveled, and by Melech Shabbos, it's Melech Miskayemes. And it's not going to be Melech Miskayemes. So whatever you go by Kilayim doesn't necessarily be Melech Miskayemes. And it could be you need 3 is what it requires to be Miskayemes, but you don't need Miskayemes by Kilayim. By Shabbos, it's definitely required Miskayemes, and that's why Rabbi Lezer is that you only chayiv with 3. Okay. The Pshatim, of course, but that's the Pshatim Melech Shlomo there in Kilayim. Okay, Ashkas Amar Rabbi Lezer comes to Lezer Pamim Shlosha. Sometimes you need to weave 3 threads b'tchila, doing it from the beginning. Pamim, I'm going to go here to Korban Eyes Girsa, which as Gunshotz points out, this is the proper Girsa. Pamim Shnaim, so far it's the same. Pamim Shnaim Agabi Echad. Sometimes Korban Lezer Chayiv when you weave 2. If it's org mass, if one of them was already woven from yesterday. Now the next line should be here. The Korban Eyes change. Pamim Echad Agabi Shnaim. Arugim Massimo. And sometimes Chayiv even with 1 when 2 of them were already woven yesterday. Okay, so as long as you make something which is miskamis, and sometimes that's 3, sometimes that's 2, sometimes that's 1. So the Rabbanak Yisrael asks, "Mao echad agab al org." What does echad al org mean? So that's a quote from the Mishnah. And the Bnei Moshe explains the question. Rabbanak Yisrael that which was simple to the Shas till now. Leave Rabbi Lezer bechad agab shnayim. But according to Rabbi Lezer, both 1 on top of 2 arugim mesa which are woven yesterday. That echad al org. 1 on top of that which is already woven. Rabbanak Yisrael mi boy. According to Rabbanak Yisrael's question, Bolu, they asked, "Mao echad org." What does it mean echad org? You move echad agab shnayim. This was 1 on top of 2. The mikra nami echad org. Or davka echad agabe shloisha. Does it mean 1 on top of 3? Lez lo mikra org el kein yesh bo shlosha. V'az mischayvim moisiv of echad b'Shabbos. And this is echad org. Is it going 1 on top of 2, like we just said, or is it really 1 on top of 3? Okay, so that's Rabbi Yisrael's question. It's backtracking a bit. Rabbi Yisrael by Mao echad org echad agabe shnayim or echad agabe shloisha. Rabbi Eretz Yisrael say Amrei echad agabe shnayim, like we just said before. Hoysa talis achas gedola. They had a large talis, right? Bitchila acher b'shleim chutim. At the beginning, it's 2 according to Rabbanan and Mar Mishnah. 2 threads are the weaver mechayiv. With sof afilu koshu, but at the end it's your chayiv even a koshu. because evidently you're considered to be makabeh patish. It says over here, begmar beggar. I feel beggar gadol chay b'choshu mishum makabeh patish. Orek shnei chutim. Agabe, here it says Hagav, but the Moshe and Karmei both changed to Agabe Hagas. Vari Brush Agabe Orig Harbe. You add two threads on top of a substantial amount of weaving. Agabe Imra, or on the hem, it says Bnei Moshe Tchias HaBeged at the beginning. Showing about every mean acher imra, where they ability to do a different type of cross thread to make a hem. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but in any event, so the Korban takes out I feel koshu. It just says chayiv because it's not saying. It's always orek shnei chutin. It's consistent, right? L'mad davar. What is this analogous to? Interesting language. So the tiltul cotton to a small belt. So it would say the analogous means even if you are making a large garment, the shear is still the same as a tiltul cotton as a small belt. And the Karmei says Chagur Kitzora She'ena Rechava Yosim Mishosh Batinirin. It's a short belt which is no wider than 3 cross holes, the ones which hold the cross stitches. You weave 2 threads over across the span of 3 of the cross threads. You're chayiv. Uvenevish HaMaseches, the fascinating carbonate here. Uvenevish HaMaseches chutei ha'erev shalom b'toch HaMaseches kinefesh b'toch haguf. We're talking about where the weft threads are going inside the frame, like the soul goes inside the body. Command b'tchila. So the it says the Karmei command b'chila v'tzar shlosha chutin Rabbi Lezer. So when we're going, even though it's in a frame, it's not kind of less than 3. According to Rabbi Lezer, you need to have 3, 2, not 2. Fahain, and here the Karmei agent changes the gears again. Vahain levado. Does he change gears to Levada? Yeah. This is so the Levada, the Sutta, the Radal adds. Radal says it's just putting Levada and Lasuta together. So let's read that it's going. Levada if he was self Karikain, and Lasuta if he was self Karikain. So Levada is something like felt, but I'm not sure that, how it applies here. Lasusa is a kind of scarf, evidently. So the way the Radal explains it that time shalom chisaron. In other words, there's no such thing as makabeh patish. Evidently, they doesn't come to a specific size. You can keep adding on to it. So therefore, the Korban says it's always, according to Blazer, you're always going to need 3. Not going to say 1 would not be enough. There's no such thing as according to Rabban, you're always going to need 2. According to Blazer, you know, 3 because no such thing as makabeh patish. There's never an end to it, which is a very interesting concept. But I guess since it's a different type of garment, for whatever reason, that's what it says. You need 3 chutin by Blazer. You need 2 chutin. Because, like he says, there's no sholem b'chisaron. That's what Radal says. Okay, the article is a different pshat. I'm not sure I understand the article is pshat. But in any event, it says the Gemara further. Actually, I want to read inside again because I want to explain that that's the pshat. The hein Vahein levada afilu b'sof ha'origin, vahein lesusa afilu b'sof ha'origin. They're always like there's no such thing as an end. It's always like a beginning, and you always need 3 according to Rabbi Lezer, and presumably 2 according to Rabbanan. Hakomodim k'oisev is Hashem ad shoshi yashlim. Okay, a very big jump here. Everybody agrees that if you're writing the Shem Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei, you're not chayav until you complete the name. Okay. Very big chiddush as the Radha points out, because Aleph Lamed from Elokim, Aleph Dalet from Adokoi, Aleph Lamed from Elokim, Yud Kei from Shem Havaya, Shin Dalet from Shakai. They all have a significance. They all have a meaning. They're all words. Nevertheless, since you had in mind to write the Shem, you only chayav when you complete the Shem. Kosav achas lahashlim as a Shem. If you wrote the last letter of one of the Shemos of Hashem, you completed the name, even though you didn't write 2 letters. Also, because os achas lahashlim as a sefer, if you wrote the last letter and completed one of the Sfarim of the Sefer Torah, I think it's any one of the Sfarim, not the entire sefer. Yes, the Kormei says all Chav Dalet Sfarim. Chayiv. Kasab os achas b'chol v'os achas b'Shabbos. We wrote 1 letter on a weekday and 1 letter on Shabbos, and obviously you complete a word or you complete whatever it's supposed to be. You complete the 2-letter sequence. Rabbi Lezer chayiv chatos shul poiter. Rabbi Lezer says you chayiv chatos. Rabbi Yeshua says you're exempt. Lama, why? Why does Rabbi Yeshua exempt you? Imishum ki malacha is because it's not, you have to do a malacha which is miskayim, and you didn't do a malacha miskayim because on Shabbos you only wrote 1 letter. Or because it's not suitable to be mitzdarif, because the letter which was done previously is not mitzdarif for the letter which is done today. So Gemara brings it back around to our Mishnah, brings it right from our Mishnah. Ischame, come and see. If you wove one thread on a weekday, one thread on Shabbos. Shem ain't a potter, ain't not potter. Yeah, but presumably since if it's not the Makabah Shabbos. But Shem ain't already mitzdarif. Well, can't it be mitzdarif together with it? Of course, it's mitzdarif together with it, right? It's made 1 weave, right? Elam Shim is why potter. Mishum ki malacha because didn't do a malacha chashuva, significant malacha miskayim. Now, this idea that it has to be like on account of ki malacha and not because of Chisoni Starfus. I'm going to learn next more like the Pnei Moshe. He says, "Kahi dam Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, Rabbi Yosef Shem Elazar." Like Rabbi Yaakov Baracha said, and Rabbi Yosef name Elazar said, "Because of Ois Echas B'Tveria of Ois Echas B'Tzipor Chayev." If you wrote 1 letter in Tveria, 1 letter in Tzipor, you're Chayev. The low Cain, Rabbi Elazar, the Pnei Moshe writes, "Klomar di lo Marta Cain." You're not going to say the word is ki malacha. That to mitzdarif, it can be mitzdarif. It's just a question doing ki malacha on Shabbos. In Cain Asi or Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Elazar, look Rabbi Yeshua. If the issue would be a problem of tziruf, then you shouldn't be mitzdarif the letter in Tveria, the letter tzipori, right? But the Cain Asi Rabbi Yaakov Baracha Rabbi Elazar Kebeshua Bitmia. Time I feel Beshua. So it must be no mitzdarif. It's mitzdarif. That's not the issue. You could, and therefore theoretically mitzdarif even with a letter on a weekday. But since you didn't do a malacha miskayim as a Shabbos, therefore you're potter. This case, letter on the Tveria, let's see Puri, you're chayiv because there's no concern on mitzdarfus. And he did a malacha miskayim because he wrote 2 letters, even though one was in the Tveria, one's burned out. This Gemara does not necessarily with the Gemara. Go with our previous iteration of this Gemara, where we learned a few days ago that it's talking about where Sidam and Miskalif. Because then, if you learn it's talking about Sidam and Miskalif, and you could peel the letter off here and put it there. So that could be another way. Maybe it's malacha is a problem, but maybe it's because it could be peeled off and placed next to each other. So this Gemara doesn't seem to be going with that mahalach of Sidam Miskalif. Okay, so Not sure to tell you the Shai Torah is on this or not. I'll tell you. He changes gears, so he says from kihi to vehahi. Okay, and he says it's Vahid Rabbi Yaakov Rachmi Hashem Eliezer because of Oz Achas Verb Achas Chayav, right? That only can go with the idea of Kiyum Malacha. And this is what it says, because it's Kamis. Okay, because if not, it would only be like Rabbi Eliezer. Right? It wouldn't be true according to Rabbi Yeshua. So it must be tzir if it's mitzvah, if it's not an issue. The question is, Kiyum Malacha, not Kiyum Malacha. Okay, so the more goes on. He wrote one letter on this Shabbos, one letter on next Shabbos. Rabbi Lezer Mechayev Chatas, Rabbi Yeshua Pater. Rabbi Lezer holds Yechayev Chatas, and Rabbi Yeshua Paters. So the Gemara says, is that Pashan? Is it Chamei? Come see. Either because of Osachas B'chol, Osachas B'Shabbos, you were one letters on weekday, letters on Shabbos. Lezer Mechayev Chatas, Lezer Mechayev Chatas. Bein B'Shabbos, Zu Bein B'Shabbos, Bo Lo Koshke. If you wrote one letter on this Shabbos and one letter on next Shabbos, it's not a Kav V'Chomer You're Chayev. There's not that problem. It's a Melachim. It has to be Melachim Mitzvah Shabbos. So therefore, if he says that one letter on a weekday, one letter on a Shabbos is You're Chayev, because they fuse together, despite the fact that it wasn't on Melachim Mitzvah Shabbos. So Koshken, when one is the previous Shabbos, when this Shabbos is a Melachim Mitzvah over the course of two Shabbos, Melachim is not a Kav Chomer Chaim. So it says you're right. Minecho Chamishim Beturin. So he says it's coming to tell you, as the Korban says, it's in the Mishneh Lodecha Kolcha De Teir Chacham Chayigavnu Patru. They even pater in this case. Well, the first says on Shabbos, since the next one is where. This interruption in the middle, so therefore they're not mitzdarif. And that brings us to the end for today.